What's going on? What's going on, people? Good to see you. Let's just make sure audio is good. I just gotta make sure the audio is good, and then we can get on going really quickly. Also, you can let me know in the chat. You know what? Let me check something really quickly after. Let me just make sure of something. Just gotta make sure that I'm feeding into the right audio, and then we're good to go. Okay. Just gotta move it a little closer. How's everyone doing? How are you doing? Shout out to Duro. Good to see you, man. Thank you for stopping by, man. Uh, yes, sir. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you. Um, Lady Navoa, another live back to back. Back hood. I'm Hang, sir. I'm all ready for sir here, so I'm here supporting you too, sir. Yeah, I'm gonna turn that on right now in a few minutes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That would be lovely. So does D'Souza and Lady Navoa. They shout out to you all. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. So, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna get that done right now. Let's see. I think it's done. There you go. It's done, man. My brother. Yeah, we've been doing this for a while, so it's time to turn up, right? So yeah, welcome. Shout out to everyone that's listening. Shout out to everyone that will come back, the replay gang later on. I appreciate you. This time of the day is a little difficult for the audience, but pardon me, I think this is the last week for now, then I'll go back into a little bit earlier. All right, but for now, let's do it like this. Let's keep submitting the content like this. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We do. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Okay. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the first topic. I got about, I don't know, like I said in the post, I have about 7 words for you today. So we're definitely going to be getting into it. Today we got to cover the title, which is Frederick Leonard. We call it Leonard here, but I think they probably call it Leonard in Nigeria. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Daddy Freeze, Samuel Boso, some updates on that. I'll bring you up to speed, so you can have an idea of what we're talking about. But we're always talking about relationships at the end of the day. We talk about the celebrities, some of the news and all that kind of stuff. We're definitely going to talk about Kanye West. Of course, we got to talk about Kanye West and that $200,000 child support bill. Yeah. No mercy. No mercy for men. But, maybe there is. But, I'm always somewhere in between. But my job is to bring you up to speed on what's possible and how to mitigate that so that you don't become casualty in what is and not what it should be, right? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about a young couple. Are they young? I think they've been married for a while, over a decade possibly. Chris and Moniz from the DMV, Marriage and Love and Marriage, the show. I'm going to play a clip for you. I got a bunch of clips I want to play for you as well. We're going to talk about potentially the president to be in Nigeria. We're going to talk about that. Tinubu. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Kora Obidi's ex and celebrating divorce. We're going to talk about that. A few things we're going to talk about, but let's first of all get into this. Right now, the first thing I want to show you is this couple right here. Let me show you this couple right here. All right. That's the title topic. I scheduled this days ago, so I still got to touch on it, right? His name is one of the finest actors in Nigeria and Nollywood. They're all over Netflix. You can find them on Netflix, on Prime Videos. They're everywhere. It's the second biggest movie industry in the world. Only second because of revenue, not volume, right? His name is Frederick Leonard. We call it Leonard in Nigeria. They call it Leonard here, right? So you know what I mean. But anyway, so he got married. He got married recently to his girl on and off for like 10 years or so. So, ladies, here's my question for you. 10 years on and off. And basically, at her wedding, she was advising women to be patient. 10 years on and off. For 10 years, they were dating on and off. I think the reports also say that they broke up quite a few times. I mean, it's a long time, 10 years. This guy is about 46, 47 years old. You know, so there's probably some rhetorics out there that, you know what, he knows what he's doing now. He's old enough to know what he's doing right now. By the way, congratulations to them. I'm always appreciative of people who find themselves, who got to the altar and lock it in, right? Because I believe that's the cornerstone of our society, a family structure, a place where children can be raised with the highest possibility of, healthy environment, right? Especially if they're happy together. So there's nothing wrong at all. In fact, I'm here to celebrate the fact that they got married. But she was putting out some advice during her wedding. I don't have that video clip right now, but basically she was advising the ladies to be patient. And I was on Auntie B's show the other day. I realized that a lot of women had pushback against that. Like, I think that struggle of topic must have been born from that, So my question for you ladies, if you're listening to this right now or later, is that would you wait that long? Do you think it's advisable to wait that long? Right? That's my question for you. And if you wouldn't wait that long, why not? If you would wait that long, clearly the ladies are pushing against it because they think it's too risky, right? To wait around for a guy who is an actor, right? Who probably has a lot of women around him all the time. He's always in some love scene or the other, right? And then to wait around for him, right? So a lot of women will be like, no, hell no, I'm not waiting for that. So if you're that girl, if you're that lady that you say, hey, I can't wait around for that. Tell me, share with me, like, why wouldn't you wait for potential husband? Speaking of potential husband, let me see if I have this clip here. Do I have that clip here? I'm not sure if I have that clip here. Let me see. Yeah, I got a clip here. There you go. Let me play this clip for you.
Babe, go now, go. Oh, I'm late. Stop, I'm late, go.
People are praying, Lord, husband.
Good.
You have. And you're doing anyhow.
Husband, go, I'm late.
Husband, no data.
Yeah, okay.
Husband, no data.
But you did. Babe, go now.
Babe, I miss you.
Miss you what?
When are you coming
I'm
back?
late. Oh,
When are you coming back? When are you coming back?
Babe, now. There'll be traffic. You make me go late. Come on.
I'll send you a private jet.
Babe, go now, go. Oh, I'm late. Stop, I'm late.
All right, so let me do some translation for you really quickly, okay? He's kissing over his girl, but there was a point he made while they were doing it. Said a lot of people are praying for husbands, and you have a husband right here in front of you, but you're doing anyhow. That means you're complaining, right? So obviously they're joking around, right? They're flirting, right? So now the reason why I'm playing that clip is this, right? Is that a fact? Right? Should she be happy that there's a husband and just, like every woman that finds a husband, she should just be happy, right? Is that where we are? Right? Let's be honest. It's not easy right now for anyone in the dating scene, right? But again, she waited for 10 years, right? So again, this is just a big question for you all. How patient is patient? Exactly. See, I just used the word exactly. Is there such a thing as exact? How long should you wait? As a lady, educate us men, right? What's the ideal? 6 months? 1 year? Does it depend on how old you are? How long should you wait for you to start to feel like maybe somebody is wasting your time? Or do you think it's worthwhile? Do you think it's worth waiting so that one day you can be getting married and you can start advising the other ladies, be patient, right? And the best part about this is that she vouched for him. She said, this guy has never cheated. Something like that. Something to that effect. All right. So, yeah, please hit the like button. Hit the like button. We're only 8 here, so that's fine. Then, anyway, that's my question for you. If you watch this later, I want to know what you think about that. How long is wait? I don't want to give you an answer. I want to know what people are thinking out there. I have my own opinion, but maybe later on I can share that, But for now, let's just move on to the next story. All right. So let's talk about Daddy Freeze. Who's Daddy Freeze? Daddy Freeze was an OAP, on air personality, like kind of like Charlemagne here in New York City, like radio DJ, that kind of stuff. Shock and jock, right? So he had something to say about Apostle Suleiman. I thought it was a good lesson in it for men, especially. Right, particularly with respect to the passing of Samuel Oposo, which we did a tribute here 2 days ago. That video is still going viral. Please keep watching it. It's monetized for his estate. Okay, now, but the gentleman passed away. And there was news breaking out everywhere saying he wasn't treated well by the church because what happened? He smashed. He was a gospel artist. Last year he came around to Houston. He smashed. Allegedly, some lady got pregnant completely out of wedlock. He has a wife at home, 12 years, right? And the wife hasn't been fortunate enough to have her own child with him. But here we go. He has a young lady that a daughter from a long time ago, but he doesn't have any children with his present wife. But then somebody else got pregnant for him. It became a scandal. But the accusation against the church is that they completely abandoned him. They started beating him up, even in the midst of, the church doesn't know how to rebuke in love, right? He was getting shamed everywhere. That's the accusation. Now, online, definitely for sure, he was held accountable, right? Quote unquote, right? But, a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about this man. I do too. If you hear that, I paid a little tribute because I had 2 different encounters with him that were pleasant, and I made a point that, hey, listen, everyone has one flaw or the other, right? And we can't shame people for their weakness. We can correct them. There's a difference between correcting a person, rebuking a behavior, and completely shaming them. But again, if you're a celebrity, you're going to be held accountable. I mean, you need to have realistic expectations around this stuff, right? You will be held accountable. You will be dragged, kind of like Kanye West has been dragged for the past few weeks, right? If you're a celebrity, that's just what comes with that, right? So, one of the pastors came out. His name is Apostle Suleiman, and he said, "Love has left the church," basically, and he was basically lamenting that they left him to buy. By means to go to heaven. All right. So, but then Daddy Freeze, who is another YouTuber now, he used to be a popular on-air personality. He has something to say about the Apostle Suleiman, who is making this comment. And I thought it would be a good moment of lesson for all of us. We drag Apostle Suleiman quite a bit on YouTube because he also runs his mouth quite a bit. Like, he's a very pompous, very At least the way he talks, right? We don't know him personally. But I've always suspected that on a personal level, he might not be that person. He, like, a lot of people take a liking to him. He's a likable guy. A lot of people, a lot of the celebrities especially, they are very comfortable around him. As a matter of fact, they accused him recently of sleeping with about 23 different actresses. That doesn't sound realistic. Maybe one or two, maybe three. Maybe he's really that kind of womanizer, a pastor, an apostle, right? Maybe, like, but I don't know how he will be doing that and there won't be any kind of proof. But, to each his own. My point is this: there are people like that. It sounds like Samuel Oposo was that kind of guy too. People just love being around him. And I think that's a good thing, right? Now, you could be careless. You could start getting accused of scandals. Maybe you're sleeping with people. I do think that Apostle Suleiman gets down. I just think, my opinion. I could be wrong, okay? But but in terms of like 23 different women that are very popular in their own rights, that just sounds completely unrealistic. But anyway, Daddy Freeze had something to say about him. Now, Daddy Freeze is biased because he claims that's his friend. But I think he made a good point that I want to play that I think every man can also pay attention to. So you don't want to be careless to the point that everyone is comfortable around you and you're being accused of scandals or you're sleeping with everyone. But you also want to pick something out of this. Let me play that video for you.
Is rare. You see, Amanda is rare. Is rare. You see,
what he said that got cut off is that Apostle Suleiman, the kind of man that Apostle Suleiman is rare. Why? Let's pay attention.
If I had problem today, I can run to Apostle Suleiman. I pray that I don't ever have problem or don't ever fall into that situation.
All right, so let me pause there for a second. He said if he has problem today, he can run to him. I know people like that. I have a few friends around me like that. Okay? In terms of morality, they're not necessarily your quote unquote holier than thou. I walk a straight line. I never offend anybody. I never cheat anybody. I don't steal. I don't lie. That's not what I'm talking about. But in terms of my friend, we grew up together. I can run to them if I need something, if I need help, right? And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's something that I'm always striving to. I want to be that guy that you can count on. Not to the detriment of myself, of course, right? But I'm saying, like, you can count on me. Like, even if I can't, you will know that it's because I couldn't. It's because it's beyond me, right? And people like that, they tend to always be able to get away with stuff too. They tend to be, quote unquote, fun people to be around, Ladies love to be around them, right? Not necessarily sleeping with them, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that people, including men, are comfortable being around them or following them. They're comfortable following them, right? Why? Right? Let's keep listening there.
But you see, and that doesn't mean because I'm Daddy Freeze. It can happen to anybody. He'll open his door to you. Sammy and I never really start. But you see, I'm Agbala.
So that's the point. That was the whole point right there. Some people, they're just ready to open their doors. Now, in terms of, they might have personal flaws. Maybe they don't like Obogoni, It could be. I think Samuel Oposo was that person too. Because he had quite a few scandals during the course of his, allegedly, during the course of his career as a gospel artist. There's some people like that, right? Their flaws is their flaws, but they're also good for certain things, right? So I'm not saying you should emulate them or go and inherit their flaws. What I'm saying is that part where people are very comfortable with them, people, both men and women can follow them, both women and women can feel like they can count on them. I think that's a good thing. Not only because you're helping, this is not a kumbaya moment, it's because I think it comes back to you, okay? I think it comes back, it has its ways of coming back around to you, right? If it doesn't come back to your generations, people will remember you and remember you for good tidings. And I think that's a really, really good thing. And also to remember that people have weaknesses and people have strength. So, and you too, right? So you must always remember to apply grace when you are assessing any one of these situations. You know, especially if you're a man, don't hurt yourself, but please give some room, allow some room, be that guy that people can say, yeah, you can count on me. I think that's a good, forget beautiful. I think it's a very profitable thing to do for you as a man. Okay. So that's the point I wanted to pull out of this really quickly before we move on to the next story. I got something else for you, I guarantee.
Actually planning to be a part of the season. And, you know, we actually wanted to show how we were navigating our marriage issues. And because we know a lot of people can relate to that, we did our initial production meeting, had a house together, kids' hair laid, glam on standby, all of that. But the main reason we didn't start filming was because of contract issues. So God works in mysterious ways, because how convenient was it that this whole divorce narrative was put out there? But the fact that Chris and I, even to this day, we never even started filming and nobody knew. That wasn't leaked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just makes me wonder who leaked that narrative. But anyway, the only reason that there was even speculation, like you said, is because they saw this trailer and they were like, wait, where y'all at? So yes, it is true. Chris and I will not be returning.
Okay.
At this point, I think we're done with reality TV. Honestly, I'm just at a place in my life where I will never again allow myself to be devalued. The contract has to make sense for me. And you know, when I'm filming, I'm giving my all. So if you want all of me, you got to make sure that paperwork is straight.
Absolutely.
So, you know, no hard feelings. Business is business, and I don't care what anybody has to say about it. But as always, the show will go on. So shout out to the Tylers and the Silvers. They're going to hold it down. So make sure y'all watch Love and Marriage DC this January. Continue to support them. They are DMV. They are local. They are doing their thing. I love them. But yes, Chris and I, the Samuels, we will not be back.
Wow. So no more reality TV.
No, I think I'm done. I think I'm good. You know, it takes a lot of bravery to be able to put yourself back out there after you've done it before. But then you also have to be smart about it and just know when it's like, you know what, maybe this isn't for us anymore. I'm in a different space in life. And, you know, like I said, business is business. That paperwork got to be straight. And it was cricket. So I said, I'm out.
I know that's right. Well, if you want to keep up with Monique, you just got to turn them radios up now.
Listen,
So
and catch the real Monique here,
Right,
always.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I love it. And I love y'all.
Yeah,
Good morning show. I love y'all.
Yeah, the real Petty Monique. And another thing too.
Yeah, and the Troll Tide B. That's who he is.
But another thing too, I think is good too, is that you all have been hanging out, like you and some of the cast members. So it's all good. If people want to have any speculation about how y'all are doing it, no, all you got to do is follow the Instagram. Y'all are hanging out, partying with each other. Y'all just celebrated
Still.
Tasha's birthday, so
Yep.
it's all good.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I actually saw Carlos King at Portia's wedding at the Nigerian ceremony, and I was able to see him, and me and him have talked, and, you know, it is what it is. So there's no hard feelings, and I have nothing negative to say about anybody. It's just, it is what it is, you know? Yeah.
Well, thank you for the tea. sis.
right there you have it. There you.
All right, let's talk about this couple right here. Why should you care about this story? It's about marriage, right? That's why you should care about. And it's about monitoring spirits when it comes to marriage. Do you know what monitoring spirits are? You know what the online in-laws are? Okay, everybody has some kind of weird stake in your situation. If you do end up in a good situation, they do, right? They do, especially if you're a public figure, especially if you're known, especially if a sector of the market feels like you're the couple. What is it? Couple goals, right? So you have to be aware of this kind of stuff. Okay. Now, my wife and I, we actually watched this show. We watched the original one, which is Love and Marriage Huntsville. For obvious reasons, it's about marriage for the most part, right? And then this one started as, like a franchise. They started the DC version of it. And this couple, apparently they were on some other reality TV shows in the past, right? But then, I pick up like when we're watching this kind of stuff, I pick up the vibes between couples, right? Because honestly, I feel like majority of the divorce situations out there are normal people. Like people that are, I said that with Sahil. Shout out to Sahil for coming by yesterday. That was a fantastic show, right? I believe that majority of the problems when it comes to divorce are actually normal people, good people that mean well. They just don't know how to do relationships. It's tough. It's easier said than done. Anyone can sit on the internet and run their mouth without ever being in a marriage for one day ever in their life, right? And just run their mouth on what they think is supposed to be or what is not supposed to be, right? We have a lot of those situations. So they ended up on this show, and there was some kind of weird vibe between them. They yell at each other. They had that Tia and Corey Maury moment where they yelled at each other, then they came back together. And my concern for them about that is that it's not that simple. It's not as simple as an argument between a husband and a wife. It's just not that simple. By the way, it's never that simple, even in a regular marriage not involving celebrity, because for every time you win an argument, somebody lost. And if at least one person lost, you both lost, because there's a little bit of resentment seed that will be sown in that moment. And if you do enough of that, yes, even as good people, because good people can argue, good people can end up in a small little debate. And if you do enough of it, you end up in divorce court. Why? Because one person is doing it, one person doesn't really see it as a big deal. It's just a debate. The other person, maybe because of the way they were raised, they're seeing it as, I get shut down all the time. You don't realize they're feeling shut down. You don't mean to shut them down. Hey, it was just a debate from like 3 months ago. Like, you still talking about that? That's usually how these things play out. But again, you don't know what kind of trauma they're mixing that up with. And then before you know it, somebody doesn't feel safe, they don't feel secure, or he doesn't feel like a man in his own home. It just turns out badly. For the most part on the internet, we only talk about the cheating. We talk about the extremes. We talk about the narcissists, right? But that's not majority of the situation, okay? It's just not. It's normal people that basically couldn't really serve each other much longer. So I want to focus on this kind of stuff. That's why I brought this story for. So I noticed their vibe. They love each other, but there's that friction. But what was making it worse is that I would tell my wife, I said, listen, all these cameras in their faces, not just the camera in the room. There's also all the producers, all these minor people behind the scenes, and everyone is trying to put up their best front. They don't want to look stupid. They also don't want to look like they're beating their spouse up. All that energy, when you combine that together, it's just bad for a typical marriage. It's just bad, okay? So if you're gonna take because they get paid a lot of money to be on these shows. It's a lot of money. I don't think it's anything less than $500,000 per season to be on these shows. So if you're gonna take your marriage or all this, go to a reality TV show because there's flashy money in your face, this lifestyle, just be ready, because it's not going to be about somebody's fault. It's just that there's a bunch of monitoring spirits. You're going to be looking at people's opinion about yourself, about your couple. Even you might find yourself in a mess trying to defend your spouse on Twitter. Before you know it, it's just all falling apart. It's just a bad idea. Listen, I know it's easier said than done. It's a lot of money. $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 to be on a show just to live our life? Yeah, you really think it's as simple as that? Now, in addition to that, the producers get paid to keep those shows on the TV. What keep those shows on TV? The drama. Some kind of drama. They call it storylines, right? Now, this is your life. They're going to be creating. That's what she was talking about, that some stuff got out there, right? Well, because again, the producers are trying to keep the show on TV. So how are they going to do that without tampering with your marriage, right? So every time we started this season of Men of Prestige, right? But I always tell people, like, what do you think? Like, what we're looking at right now, who was filming that? who was filming that. We need to know what was the motive behind the person that's filming that. Now, you that you're the actor or actress or the character of whatever we're watching, why are you there? Why? Because of money? Right? At what expense? The expense of a home for your children, your family. So I respect this couple for gaining enough will to say, hey, you know what? I don't think it's worth it. Listen, they're losing a lot of money stepping away from these shows. Let's not get it twisted. An average person will say, you know what? F the marriage, right? They will say F the marriage, and they just like, and they're not going to say it exactly like that. See, we try to cap, like we could just be decisive. No, they're just going to be in the funk of an argument. Like, what's wrong? I didn't do anything. Before you know it, the marriage is over because somebody is prideful and the other person has unrealistic expectations, and the other person, it doesn't mean to be prideful, but they basically tame themselves trying to satisfy the other person. Now they're being taken for granted. What does that look like on the surface? Maybe somebody cheated. Maybe somebody felt disrespected. Majority of it is feeling disrespected, not necessarily the intentions of being disrespectful. You see, the way we address a lot of these issues is somebody is intending to be disrespectful. We completely disconnect from the actual reality, which is somebody felt disrespected without the intentions necessarily being there. So we have a hard time applying grace. So I keep telling you, the only thing you can be intentional about is your emotional intelligence. And I think that's what this couple just practiced. Okay? It's not about you against me. It's not no one's fault. It's not for me to blame you or shame you because you must be a modern / traditional woman on TV. It's none of that. It's like, yo, we're humans. If we're put in this kind of situation, it's unrealistic to not expect certain types of behavior. So why don't we do this? Protect ourselves, remove ourselves. So what did she do? She found a radio job. The guy was a footballer or something like that. He can find a coaching job, something too. Hopefully they'll be fine. Trust me, money is good. But money is a multiplier too, It's to bring the worst out of you, right? To bring the worst out of you. So I really, really want to commend that couple for making that move. I think it's a smart move at the end of the day, But yes, let me go ahead and leave that alone. Let's move on to the next story. All right, shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. I stole this from one of his clips, but I heard a little bit of clip and I thought there was some interesting take I wanted to add onto this. But yeah, let's play the video.
I was reading, it's a tweet, I'm gonna paraphrase it, but someone said that the "Where's My Hug" niggas turned into the podcast niggas.
Yes.
What is happening, man?
You know what's funny? Yeah, the "Where My Hug" niggas podcast game. That's whoever said that hit it right on the money, brother. You know what it is now. A lot of these dudes doing podcasts about relationships. These are incels. These are dudes who really couldn't get women, so they use their podcast to spew aggression and hate towards women. And because they get a lot of views, and most of their views are from white people. White people love tuning in to see some black person bash another black person. So because they have views, they think they have power.
Right.
So now I'm an authority and this is what I feel about these black women and this is what I feel about this. So a lot of it is this nerdy aggression. A lot of these dudes don't have no game. And the reason why we have these incel, "Where My Hug" type of dudes out here who are being elevated is because of the internet, and the internet teaches you to not have game. Because part of game is 90% of nonverbal communication, that's the most effective communication, nonverbal. What you actually say is a very minimal part of how you get down. It's really about how you carry yourself and how you act and your vibe and your energy. Before the internet, we had to go out to the mall, to the streets, to the club, and interact with women. Women had to interact with men. So women had to carry themselves a certain way. Men had to carry themselves a certain way. You had to know how to dress. You had to be clean. You had to be groomed. Your teeth had to be brushed. You had to coordinate your clothes correctly. Your body language had to be correct.
So we've heard.
All right. So let's talk about this really quickly. Chinye, let me see. I'm gonna do this right now for anyone who wants to be notified, because YouTube acts up sometimes. Let me just add this to the screen. That's the notification group. Okay, only WhatsApp. Okay, just add me to the MOP group so that I'll send notifications every time I go live to you. That way you don't miss out on the live interactions. Okay, so just go ahead and do that. All right. +1 US number 732-305-8577. Just add me to the MOP group, and then we'll take it from there. Now let's talk about this video really quickly. Let me just go ahead and add this to the scroller so that we can take that off the screen. I'm gonna play that again.
I was reading, it's a tweet, I'm gonna paraphrase it, but someone said that the "Where's My Hug" niggas turned into the podcast niggas.
Yes.
What is happening, man?
You know what?
What is happening? What is happening, man? Right? This was on hype comedy, but I stole the clip from O'Shea Dick Jackson, right? What is happening, man? Right? So now if you look at the scroller, let me just leave that on the screen for a second just to make sure that you caught that. So what is happening to men? Gentlemen, what is going on? Oh, there's something I gotta cover today. There's something I have to cover today. If we have time. Let me just put that in the notes. But Tariq Nasheed is on point, and I want to address it. Okay? IGDM. There's an IGDM that I want to address today as well. Because, gentlemen, I had to keep, because it looks like no one else is going to do it. I'm sorry. I had to keep holding you accountable, but I will always do it from a place of love and tell you why I think it's a bad idea for some of this behavior, right? But let's listen to some of the things he said, because I want to pick some words apart.
What's funny, the "Where My Hug" niggas.
By the way, incel means involuntary celibate. It's not an indictment. It's not a curse word. It just means you're not getting laid, even though you would like to. Okay, I'm not talking about those that don't want to. I'm talking about those that would like to, but they're just not getting laid for whatever reason. So involuntary celibate, right? Celibacy.
Podcast game. That's whoever said that hit it right on the money, brother. You know what it is now. A lot of these dudes doing podcasts about relationships. These are incels. These are dudes who really couldn't get women, so they use their podcast to spew aggression and hate.
Shout out to the Sahels and myself and people that are actually in healthy relationships. And that's obvious. They're in healthy relationships and they've taken out some of their time because they don't have to be here, and they don't have to because they're enjoying their relationship. And typically people that are enjoying their relationship, they don't have time to be setting up shows and it's just not something that they're inclined to do naturally. But some of us, we like the conversations and we see a void where we can add some value. And that's what having this going. And I need more and more people, especially if you have experience and you're an elderly person and you can have a balance. You're not always skewed in one direction. We can have a conversation with the balance, and you can also still have your own beliefs, that's fine too, but a balance is needed. You need to be able to hear two sides and understand where people are coming from, So, and I think Tariq is that guy. Tariq is one of those guys. He used to be actually part of this conversation, but he's advanced into political activism, fighting for ADOS, FBA people, right? But it was being interviewed and it was asked this question, People literally come on the internet and they expect not to be figured out. I can tell with your aggression that something is personal. But here's the problem. It's a lot of young kids that can't tell. They have one little experience. They take that little way they can relate with you and they run with it as the gospel truth. Literally as a gospel truth. Right? So let's keep going.
Towards women. And because they get a lot of views, and most of their views are from white people. White people love tuning in to see some black person bashing up.
I don't know about the white people part. You know, they do get a lot of views for obvious reason. Polarized views will get a lot of views. Okay, that's all I had to do here. Just stay on one side. I don't have to make sense. I just have to have a polarized view that's aggressive in nature and say, to hell with all the men. Even if I stay here and start bashing men 100% of the time, this channel will grow a lot faster because somebody will be able to relate and then it become an echo chamber, right? So it doesn't have to be white people, but maybe he's right because I can't relate too much to the Black American experience, right? Maybe white people are laughing behind the scenes. We had, what's her name again? Just Pearl Things. I mean, she's having a good time blowing up on YouTube by, you know, helping the black men repeat their talking points against black women, right? And now they've transferred that aggression, I've noticed in the past 24 hours, to the UK. The UK people want to also be passport bro now. All right, let's keep going.
The black person. So because they have views, they think they have power.
Right.
So now I'm an authority and this is what I feel about these black women and this is what I feel about this. So a lot of it is this nerdy aggression.
The nerdy aggression. Oh, you didn't know? We could tell, right? It's nerdy. Like this, we could tell there's something lame in it. Right? We could tell. Now, if you're a man of a certain age, if you're 31, 32, 33, somebody's gonna like you. They just won't be able to stay with you because of the what? The nerdy aggression, right? Because you're attractive as a young man who is cleaning up, you smell good, 31, 32. You attract a few women, right? But they just won't stick, right? Let's keep going. I'm telling you the reality that the people in your echo chamber won't tell you. And women can't tell you either. Let's keep going.
A lot of these dudes don't have no game. And the reason why we have these incel, where my hug.
It said a lot of dudes don't have no game. At that point, the nerdy aggression would say, there's no such thing as game. It's either you like me or you don't like me. It's black or white. You ever heard that before? All right, let's keep going.
Type of dudes out here who are being elevated is because of the internet, and the internet teaches you to not have game.
That's what they see. That's what the internet does. Everything is linear on the internet. It's just text, right? There's no real life experience. There's no feeling on people. There's no feelings. It's just all facts, right? No feelings. Just think about that. How unrealistic is that? Considering the human experience is driven by emotions. Let's keep going.
Because part of game is 90% of nonverbal communication. That's the most effective communication, nonverbal. What you actually say is a very minimal part of how you get down. It's really about how you care.
By the way, that's not common sense, okay? That's not common sense, okay? I see a few people say, oh, but that's common sense. We should know that. You read that in a freaking psychology book. No, it's not common sense. How do I know? Because when it comes down to action and when it's playing out, a lot of the people in this generation don't know what they're talking about. They can say it in words, right? As a matter of fact, they are much more, what's the word? They're much more eloquent in explaining what I'm trying to explain right now in words. But in action, when it's playing out, is where there's problem. Especially between you and an actual romantic partner, not somebody on a panel, an actual romantic partner. Let's keep going.
Carry yourself and how you act and your vibe and your energy. Before the internet, we had to go out to the mall, to the streets, to the club, and interact with women. Women had to interact with men. So women had to carry themselves a certain way. Men had to carry themselves a certain way. You had to know how to dress. You had to be clean. You had to be groomed.
Social skills. Two things. Emotional intelligence. I'm not talking about the textbook definition or you being able to pick it out on somebody. Emotional intelligence meaning you're able to master your emotions first before we talk about anything else. And social skills, right? You carry yourself in a certain. It's not just men; it's women. Women don't know how to carry themselves too. Everyone is lame everywhere. How do I know? Because we could tell you feel awkward. It's just weird. What's going on? I'd rather just stay in the house and be a keyboard gangster.
Your teeth had to be brushed. You had to coordinate your clothes correctly. Your body language had to be correct.
You get that? So that I thought that there's some really in that very short clips. There's some really really profound points there. You gotta get out, okay, gentlemen. Just walk up on her and ask her name. You gotta do more of that. You gotta do that 5 times a day for the next 90 days. Try your best, okay? You're gonna learn a lot more than you will learn on those 5 tips on the internet. Okay? You will learn a lot more. As a matter of fact, the worse it feels every time you do, I'm not doing no cold approach. Anybody doing cold approach anymore, that's part of your problems. Because it's actually not cold approach, it's called getting to know people. But again, you shut down the moment you see something uncomfortable, you shut down. And you know what they say about good times? It creates feminine men. Okay? It's chaos everywhere. You're multiplying the chaos everywhere. Okay? So I really thought this was a good point. Incels. It's not your fault, but maybe you're creating your results. Okay? Maybe? No, you are creating your result, especially if you're a man of a certain age. If you're 31, 32, 33, and you notice that you're getting certain types of results, you could go look for a quick fix. You could run to Brazil or do me a favor, run to Lagos. Just go to Lagos, okay? Let's see how well you do out there, okay? Let's see how long you can last out there, okay? But I'm telling you right now, nothing good in life comes easy. Nothing good in life comes from comfort zone. And that's the point I wanted to take from that before we move on to the next story today. Shout out to Mo Fresh. Shout out to Nurse Rosie. Good to see you. I am the single one. Good to see you. Chinye. How far now? All right, so let's move on to the next one here.
I don't read social media anymore. They abuse the hell out of me. If I read it, I get high blood pressure. I get angry. I don't read it. So, if I want to hear anything, my children or any of my workers will tell me, this one say this one. If I'm tired, I say, please, forget it.
If you don't get it, forget about it. Anyway, that's Tinubu. That's Bola. That's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Was potentially going to be Nigeria. Somebody's going to hit me now. Going to be Nigeria president. Okay, there are 3 of them that can potentially become Nigeria president come February 2023. There's active campaign going on right now. And I think this was one of the press conference. What is he talking about? This guy is how old? Well, it looks like 90, but I think he's only 70 or so, maybe 75. Somebody said that must be mad. I think they're saying he's more like 80. But you know, Nigerian politicians, you never know what their true age is. They give us football age, wherever it's going to get them in there, right? But he has a lot of people claim he has good track records when he was governor of Lagos State, which is the most popular state in Nigeria. I think second most popular state in Nigeria. Now he's running to be the president right now. What is he talking about? He's talking about social media, and and social media tampering with his mental health. Okay, so let me do a quick translation so you can see what we're talking about. So this is some of the strongest human beings, okay, in terms of mental. Okay, it looks like he's extremely weak physically speaking, you know. Hey Bagava, good to see you. Let me play this again. Leonard.
Social media anymore. They abuse the hell out of me.
He said they abuse the hell out of him. Nigerians are disrespectful on social media. Ask Tariq. He would know. Tariq Nasheed, right? Nigerians are disrespectful on social media. Anyway, so this guy is one of the cabals. He's one of the godfathers of politics in Nigeria. So, of course, they're abusing him. So now people start to bring iPads and yes, sir. See what they said here. He said, watch.
If I read it, I get high blood pressure.
He said if he reads it, he has high blood pressure.
I get angry.
He gets angry.
I don't read it.
Jagaban.
If I want to hear anything, my children or any of my workers will tell me, this one say this one do. You know, if I'm tired, I say, please.
He said if he's tired, just say, please, I beg. Take that thing away from here now. I don't blame him. If Jagaban is protecting his mental health, how about you? Right? What about you? Right? Again, remember what I just said. This is some of the strongest people from a mental standpoint. Almost psychopathic. They really don't care. They could look at and you're cursing them out. You would think they can look at it and say, leave that thing alone, right? But he's saying, listen, I have high blood pressure. BP, right? So what about you? You're just a regular person. You go to work, you drive to work, you just come back home. It's not that deep for you. How far are you going to go with leadership? Just maybe you're leading maybe 3 or 4 people, maybe at most 10 people at work that you're manager to, right? You can't let somebody come and kill you, right? How much more you, right? Protect your mental health. Social media is the streets. It's not your mate. Especially if you have relationships to protect. Especially if you're looking to get into a healthy relationship. You have to protect the kind of spaces you go to. Listen, what I'm telling you is going to be easier said than done, as usual. I mean, let's not cap, right? Drama. We're reading work, right? It's just entertaining to watch a bunch of lunatics going at each other. I'm sorry. Basketballs, right? It's entertaining. It's not personal to you. You're just watching something that's amusing, right? But you got to be careful because what comes by hearing? They say faith, right? Comes by hearing, right? There's a lot of things that comes by hearing. The stuff you're feeding into your senses will affect how you conduct yourself, bottom line. Listen, this is the part that you don't want to cap and say, hey, I'm intentional. What you surround yourself with will become your reality. In weird, twisted ways, this is 100% accurate all the time. It's just a matter of time. Okay? If you like to go to the feminism place and that's where you're spending all your time, that's going to be your reality. If you like to spend all your time in the manosphere where basically all they do is this woman, and they're about to have high blood pressure, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, this is going to become your reality. You will attract other people's reality effectively. And you didn't mean any harm. You were just like, But there's a reason why you keep hanging around that stuff. You could relate. That means there's a little seed in there that the devil can dwell on and help you grow this monster out of you. There's a reason why you're hanging there. You could relate somehow, some way. Maybe somebody else's story, but most likely because you could relate somehow, right? So if you keep spending time around that kind of stuff, it's going to become a whole monster. Or maybe you're just going to go buy your own Blue Yeti microphone, right? And become another loud, nerdy, loud aggression on the internet. You got to be careful. You're human like the rest of us. You got to be careful. It's easier said that it's going to take discipline. If you already find yourself in these situations, it's going to take discipline. So if Jagaban is protecting his own mental health, how about you now? Right? We're all human beings. There are levels low, though, but we're all human beings. Protect yourself, especially your mental health. Very, very important. All right, let's move on to the next story. All right, so let's talk about this young lady. I don't know who she is. Apparently, she's some kind of actress. I've never seen her before, but she made an interesting point. All right, and ladies, I want you to attest to this. Okay, if you know that you are fine, a fine woman, I want you to attest to this, right? But I've been hearing this quite a lot, and gentlemen, I'm gonna give you keys to the kingdom right now, okay? By way of this lady. So let me play this video. Let's see.
Away fine. It already. I don't know why they believe any girl way fine. It already get boyfriend. Fine girls now then they single pass. So anywhere where you see them, if you like them, toast them more. Don't say some go they form like say they get anything. There's some not who get anything, they not get boyfriend, they not get anything, they not who get back. So anytime when you see that you carry toast them, I take or beg you because all these girls now they want die pass, now they go church pass, they pray for husband. Go our church now, all the fine girls they food there. But if you are looking for husband, come out the way they run like foul, they run come outside from cage. Like say they cage them. So I just they tell you, I beg, more now they toast fine girls. We not doing anything. I call myself. Toast us do. I beg.
That's sweet. That's sweet pidgin English that's coming out of her mouth. But she has a point. Okay. Let me do some translation for those people that didn't really get it. I'll do a little bit of translation, okay?
I don't know why they believe any girl way fine. It already.
She said, I don't know why they believe that any girl that's fine and beautiful and, you know, a hot chick, that they get approached or she's already hooked up.
The girl boyfriend. Fine girls now then they single pass.
She said, it's fine. I was about to do the pigeon. She said, it's fine girls that are the most single people. Now, a lot of men will not really believe this because they believe that all these women are getting dick pics thrown at them in the DMs, right? But gentlemen, come here, just come closer. Dick pics and being approached in a decent way to potentially become someone's husband are two different things, okay? Now, on top of that, it's not really that. It's a lot more than men for obvious reasons. Do you want to be a woman? But it's not as much as they make it seem. She's saying the truth. Okay? Beautiful women don't get approached like that. So if you have just a tad bit of confidence and step up to them, you will stand out. If she gives you just ordinary attention, it will boost your ego a little small too, meaning it will aid your confidence a little bit more too. Now, if she shut you down, get yourself together, bro. It's okay. It's all right. It's not really the end of the world, I promise. Heaven is not going to fall out of the skies. If you have that as a mindset, your ego will still be boosted because you step up to that fine ass woman on the corner. She's telling you the fact. The more beautiful they are, the less people actually step up to them. She said toast. Toast in Nigeria means you approach people, you open your mouth. What's the English American word for toast? I don't know, Jerry. Shoot your shot. Okay? Shoot your shot. All right? She said people don't shoot their shots. See what Bhagavad is saying. Bhagavad said fine women don't get toasted. Sadly sad. Gentlemen, get your shit together. Step it up. Say, what's your name? That's all you have to say. You don't have to do your chest like this. You don't have to do any. You don't have to do any of that. Just be yourself. Except this part. Step up and say, "What's your name? Nice to meet you." Don't buy her drinks if she doesn't ask you for your name too. Let's not be stupid. Let's be guided. It's about just stepping up and approaching them. They don't get approached at all. Especially, again, like I said, the finer they are, the more they don't get approached. That's what I mean by I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom. A lot of men in 2022 are looking for the easy way out. What did they say? I don't do that cold approach stuff. You don't do cold approach? Who said that's cold approach? You're a young man. There's a fine woman on the corner. You can't do cold approach. That's cold. You're in the same environment. They're in your space. You can't say, "What's your name? Nice to meet you." This is problematic. And I think it's the fault of the pandemic and the internet. I won't blame it on you, but it's time to step your shit up. Let's listen.
So anywhere where you see them, if you like them, toast them. Oh.
She said, anywhere where you see a fine woman, if you like her, nobody's forcing you on anybody. If you like her, shoot your shot. The more you do it, the better it gets. And by the way, you're showcasing confidence. Confidence is the most sexiest thing you can have. Either you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Confidence is sexy. Okay? Why? Because it makes people feel safe. Like you're sure of yourself. Okay? No one is going to bite your head off. Maybe they're in the wrong mood. They think you're too short, fat, and ugly. It doesn't matter. All that stuff doesn't matter. Okay? Approach fine women. It's easy. No one is competing with you because everyone else is saying, "I'm not going to do cold approach." These women, and then they will camouflage it with, "These women are disrespectful." No, you don't know how to approach women. That's your problem. And you're not approaching enough women.
Don't say some go they form like say they get anything. There's some not even get anything. They don't get boyfriend. They don't get anything. They don't even get back.
She's saying some women will be acting and pretending like they have something. They don't have anything. She's giving you the keys to the kingdom. Okay? A lot of them are just that close. They're ready to buy a dog right now. Don't let them do. Okay, I'm not asking you to go and save every woman. What I'm saying is, I'm talking about you and your confidence level. I'm talking about at the community larger scale level right now. Something is going on and it's not good. Anyway, let's continue.
Anytime when you see that you carry toast them, I take or beg you because all these girls now they want die pass. Now they go church pass, they pray for husband. Go our church now, all the five girls they food there. But
she's saying they go to church. Well, this is Nigeria now, that they're all over the church. They're looking for husband. They're everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful, fine women. Right? When you step up to them, it boosts them up as well. But you get boosted too. Okay? Because I'm telling you, the average man right now, they're just awkward. It's bad. They'll rather spend hours upon hours on Clubhouse arguing with themselves, with women, on YouTube. A lot of them make good money. A lot of you make good money. Money is not your problem. I gotta chase my bag first. Stop the cap. Money is not your problem. Your problem is what I'm talking about right now. Confidence. That's why when you get on the internet, you grow extra wings because you kind of feel safer. No one's gonna touch you, right?
if you are looking for husband, come out the way they run like foul, they run come outside from cage. Like say they cage them. So I just they tell you, I beg, Mona they toast fine girls.
She's begging you to please approach, shoot your shots at fine ladies. Bagawa said, now why fine babes they buy dog up and down for Nigeria? Isn't Nigeria? They started copying Americans doing that. They're buying those little puppy dogs, right? Loneliness no go kill us, so gentlemen. Maybe you should put a little cape on right now and save somebody, right? Especially if you're lonely and you're dying of blue balls. Okay? Come on, step it up. Listen, you don't have to memorize all the lines, the pickup lines. Just say, what's your name? Right? You might even freeze after saying what's your name. You froze because you haven't done it in such a long time. It's okay. Next time you see another one say what's your name, you're probably gonna have enough confidence to say the next, oh, nice to meet you. And before you know it, you have a few people you're talking to from time to time, and then you have options. Options from a place of mindset. If you don't have options, now voila, you will get in trouble last because you'll basically smother any woman that gets in your arm to death because that confidence is shot. Anyway, Nurse Rosie, my break is over. I'll be back to complete the video. Shout out to you, Nurse Rosie. Shout out to you.
Not doing anything. I call myself. Toast us, do. I beg. God will bless you.
She says she cut herself. She's talking about herself. But this is a real struggle. I promise you. I know way too many of them personally. And then they complain that men, like, come on, step it up. Right? Don't overthink it. I think the problem is that people are overthinking it. They go on the internet, they memorize all the pickup lines, and when they're in the presence of a fine woman, it all falls apart. Relax. Grab a drink yourself. Have a few friends around you. Don't be a lone wolf. That's ridiculous. Right? And say, what's your name? Hey, give me a second. What's your name? Nice to meet you. Listen, I'll be right back. You don't have to spill your guts in that moment in time. Don't go there and be asking, how many body counts do you have? It's terrible. Speaking of, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, okay? We're going to talk about that in a second here. Let's move on to the next story. I got something else for you, I promise.
When people get divorced, that's nothing to celebrate. That represents a failure, and I hate failing. So if you're celebrating a divorce, personally, I think that it means that it's, how do I put this in words? Everyone loses. When people get divorced, that's nothing to celebrate. That represents a failure, and I hate failing. So,
Cheers to victory and success in the future. Cheers to the past staying in the past. Cheers to moving on. Cheers to new beginnings. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Finalized divorce. I am a free woman. Cheers. And here's to hopefully, moving on in peace for the sake of my children. Cheers, to God be the glory. To God be the glory, great things he has done. Cheers. It's a Friday. Please do me a favor. Go to a bar near you and take a shot for me. And say thank you, Lord, for victory. It's about that time. Cheers to victory.
All right, so who you're looking at is her name is Cora Obidi, and that was the ex-husband, the young white man. What's his name? Justin. Yeah, you just mentioned it. Yeah. All right, so I really do think that both of these people are actually good people. You know, I really do think that these are good people, but good people end up in divorce court all the time. And if it's happening to you for the first time, it hits everyone in the gut. Okay. Now in the modern times, this is the reality. That's where we are. You know, it hurts men. You know, especially a man that maybe felt like he tried his best to keep his home together. He tried his best to be the man. on this channel, before we had our little viral moment, you know, um, I wasn't nice to Justin. I dragged him because he basically put his family out on the streets. I stand on what I said in those times, you know. Uh, I'm when I do that, it's because I love men. I'm trying to get them to, before they make this kind of mistakes, I'm trying to get them to be calming down. Okay, your feelings, your emotions are real, just like women. It's just that we express it differently. We bottle it up, but you gotta be careful with that bottling emotion stuff up. Have a few men around you. Go to a barber shop and express yourself. You know, and get what you have to say out, not to the public. The public just, let me show you what we have. I used to play this when we first started the channel. This is what will happen to you if you go to the public to express your emotions.
Hey! Wait! Hey! Wait! Hey! Wait! Yo! Get off of me, nigga! Help me! What's wrong with you, nigga? Come on! Where my glasses? Get off of me before I drop your goofy ass again. Now beat that, bitch ass nigga. Pay for this shit. Hurry up.
No,
pay for that shit and hurry up before I drop your ass again. Touch me, then I'm gonna drop
stop
you.
video for it. Ain't help me. You got my key.
Somebody help you.
No, help you.
That's what's going to happen to you. If you don't have a few fellas around you, people that can tell you the truth, that can hold you accountable, not people that panders back to your talking point, both of you are hurting from how women have treated you in the past. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that will say, shut up. You have something else to talk about? Okay, you're right. Yeah, that's women. Leave that thing alone, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like men around you that sometimes they can relate with you. Both of you will sup together. Sometimes they're like, no, stop. We're not talking about women right now, right? You need that around you. And I felt like Justin didn't have that. Justin, his whole life was Korah. So he didn't know how to act when he hit the wall. He hit the wall. He was tired. It was done. He called it off. He filed a divorce. Ladies and gentlemen, he's one of the 30% of men that initiated the divorce. Congratulations, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to stay in a situation that you feel like you're being misused, right? So, in 2022, you're probably going to see more and more ladies coming out and celebrating divorce, calling it graduation. Don't worry, they will go back to bed and cry later at night, okay? It's women, right? But I'm saying what it looks like on the surface that you never want to overreact to, okay? Is that she will be celebrating. Now, we've seen this young lady go back and forth. Sometimes she cries. She feels like it's unfair. You can listen, she got 2 kids and she didn't see this divorce coming too. She was the one that received that collect woto, right? But they all collected woto. Okay. So what you just saw with Justin is the reality of how most men feel. Failure is failure. Men don't like to fail. Real men don't like to fail. One thing I never took away from him is that he's a real man. Real men make mistakes. Sometimes you have to fall on your face before you realize you can't act a certain way in public. Okay? Today, earlier on today on Auntie B show, I heard people saying, I don't like men that cry. I said, vulnerability for men in the mud. That's the reality. Okay? If you come up as weak, you're going to be dragged by even the women even your mother. Okay? So I'm glad that he's putting himself together. I think their divorce is finalized. She's celebrating. He's kind of celebrating too, but at least it's what we're used to. Like divorce is like, it's like life ended, right? That's it. But it's changing for women. It's just what it is. And what is that? What you're looking at is just, they're covering it up. They're trying to make it look a certain way. It's their way of coping. It's coping mechanism. Gentlemen, don't overreact to this, okay? I reacted to the Tia Mowry stuff, but never my intentions to get men to start overreacting to that, right? It's never my intentions. I don't want men overreacting to women rhetorics. their action speaks just like every other human being, louder than the words. It's a coping mechanism. You're seeing more and more of it. You see on reality TV show, they throw divorce party. Listen, she was doing like this, Obamokmo, and she had the baby on her back, and she's doing all of that. You think that's gonna be easy? Hey. Bagaba says, I swear sometimes Cora had this spark, but she's fine, Sha. She's a fine ass woman. But clearly this guy is like, okay. Who find help? She's going to regret it. You know, everybody that goes through divorce regrets it. They will have moments of regret, you know. Ultimately, they may not regret it. It might actually be the best thing for them. I'm not the one to tell you it might not be. It might be the best thing for them, but they're gonna have moments of regret, right? What you see her showcasing is not the reality, you know. It's just a coping mechanism, and I think it will only prolong the crying seasons, you know, because the reality is the reality. She's gonna have to heal. Telling everybody to go take a shot, I'm celebrating, it's not gonna heal nothing, okay? Because all these people you're talking to, I don't know, she probably has like 20,000 people watching her at any point because she's that popular right now. These people are not going to be in bed with you at night. They're not going to be there to understand everything you're going through. You're not going to feel safe enough to share everything in your life with them. So it's just not the reality. It will delay it a little bit. It's coping mechanism. It's okay, you know. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this on TV and you start, ladies, if you start to feel like after all, people celebrate, they don't though. Nobody's celebrating divorce anywhere. It's a coping mechanism. Don't do that to yourself. If you have a relationship that you feel like oku dear kato, you remain small, seek help. There's opportunities to learn something new when you're confused. That's all that means, okay? Hey, Sunshine, good to see you, Sunshine, good to see you. She's even processing the breakfast with that blender. Video. Oh, the breakfast or the breakfast? Which one? Which one of the breakfasts? Do men such conversations where they giving each other real cognitive advice without bashing the woman? So men also need coping mechanisms, right? Sometimes you just need someone to be able to hear you out and relate with you and say they understand. You don't want them. Men have that need too. It is what it is, right? Where we want to feel validated. If you do it enough times, you know, you're gonna get dumped. Not just by your wife, but your friends too, because they're gonna be like, this nigga call me all the time to complain. Jesus Christ. It's gonna be annoying, right? But every now and then, yeah, a man can need that. You know, it's not about as a matter of fact, we don't need the cognitive stuff. You just want to feel heard too. You want to feel like someone can relate with you and understand your pain, where you're coming from. But when people put themselves on the panels and internet and there's 5,000 people watching on the center, I have a hard time having empathy for that, because you put yourself out there and you're looking for attention to the wrong place in the wrong places as a man. It's just a bad idea altogether. So I have a hard time. I'm working on it because I feel like I should be empathetic to my brothers too. I feel like a barbershop is a barbershop because there's no cameras, right? Even sometimes it's okay for a man to break down and cry when his buddies are around. Like, it hurts, you know, because you're human, right? But you have that safe place where you feel like, and they can relate with you, yeah. So it's not cognitive that we need. It's basically some emotional support for the most part. You don't want somebody preaching at you and trying to make things make sense. Just like you ladies don't like that too, you know. In that moment, not in that moment, you know. So barbershop, they're just running their mouth, they're bantering back and forth. And there's always this one girl in the barbershop who hears everything. He knows, or maybe she's one girl among a bunch of boys as siblings, and she thinks she knows, but you know, she knows more than a typical person, you know. But you get the gist. But yeah, that's Cora, Obidi, and the Justin. They think they are final. They're not final. They're stuck together for at least the next 18, 19 years. They're not going anywhere. That's why you should work on your relationships. Work on them. Okay, speaking of working on your relationship, let's get to this next story here. I told you we came cooking today. Let's get to it. Bashiri Neo. This is what we found this evening. $200,000 in child support. One man. Please, Eshano Kanye West now. Have some empathy for this man. He was just telling the truth. He didn't mean any harm. It's like back to back, wood to. Jesus Christ, he can't breathe. He even said, now I know what it means to not be able to breathe. Even though that was a terrible analogy or comparison. He was trying to compare himself to a person that's not here, that's no longer here, George Floyd. Woto. Gentlemen, listen to me carefully. Keep coming back to Men of Prestige, because if you keep doing that, I guarantee you will prevent this type of things happening to you. Now, if you're the next Jesus, please knock yourself out. Maybe you're a prophet, you can see something we can't see. Because that's what some other people are saying. Or he can see. He's just a guy who is willing to... Yeah, right. All right? He lost $1.5 billion in one day. Guy hit with a bunch of bills, froze his account. He never thought that was possible. Oh yeah, that's laced up with all kind of racist stuff and stuff like that. I get it. All right. That's true. We live in a real world. This is America. Okay? That's the reality. Right? But if Kanye West was opportune to hear what I had to say on October 7th, yeah? If he was opportuned to hear what I had to say on October 7th, the whole world came crashing down on him on October 19. What was that, like 12 days later? Something like that. What did I say? I said, this guy is about to lose everything. What did Sahil say? Sahil, where you at, bro? It's not funny, by the way. Gentlemen, please. First of all, we have to be willing to receive it with a full chest when this kind of things happen. Because no one is perfect. Maybe I could run my mouth too. But these things are predictable for some of us, okay? Daryl's, before I go to Daryl, Bagova says, now wow, knee on his neck for real. Daryl says, I want to say Kanye got what he deserves, but that's a lot of money. It is. And no, I wouldn't go as far as deserve. As long as he has parental rights and time with the babes, maybe this was the best outcome. $200,000 a month is a lot of money, bro. It is. And I feel for him because I just played a video of you of somebody who has been reached for a long time. Some of the most powerful politicians in Nigeria for a long time, Tinubu, who is saying, Omo, social media, they want to give me high blood pressure. Right? Tinubu, dare I say, is much more powerful than a Kanye West. I don't care about how much billions he has. He's extremely powerful guy. 200 million people under his foot for the last 8-10 years, at least. Right? But he's saying, I'm gonna make let me protect my mental health. Kanye is like, nah, fuck all of that. I gotta say the truth. All this, like, okay. This is consequences of saying the truth. Now, it's not just, obviously this battle started a year ago before all of that, right? But if you had been listening to me, I'd been talking about Kanye West and what I could see with his conduct and my imagination of how he treats the women around him. He will probably, I'm guessing, but I'm guessing I'm also right. He will probably love them to death, love all over them, but when he hates them, the same energy. He's probably smothering, right? Just imagine a Kanye West around a Kim Kardashian. No, I want you to dress like that. I'm the genius. You dress like that. See, I made you rich yesterday. You got to follow what I have to say. And while he's saying everything that's absolutely correct.
Well, you're right.
While everything is saying is right, it's creating the opposite effect. It's making the people around him feel uncomfortable. And guess what the king are? Or the kings are, or the king is? Feelings, emotions, how you make people feel around you, undefeatable. You know how people say facts over feeling? Fuck that. It's feelings over facts. That's the reality. Fact is recorded data. It's basically recorded feelings and emotions that transpired. Right? See how we're fooling ourselves? How you make people feel around you is all that matters, bro. That's it. That's it. That's all that matters. And if you fail at this point, in the name of truth, there are consequences. The consequences could be 2,000 years from now, you were actually Jesus. Oh yeah, he was saying the truth, he became Jesus. It could be. Is it probable? Probably not. You're about to be getting dragged on this street. $200,000 a month is a lot of money. Especially considering that she's also rich. If not richer now. I'm almost about to say it's unfair. But you know how I feel about the word fair and fairness. I had a conversation with Sahil yesterday. Fair or fairness, like, it's irrelevant. I'm sorry. It's not relevant. It's not about me being right. That's the reality we're looking at right now. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant. If it's fair or it doesn't. If he fights this, he's going to have to go to court and fight. Every time, every second you spend in the court, you're fighting, resentments are still building. For you, your ex-wife, and your children. Gentlemen, you have a lot more power than your mouth. Your mouth is not just your power. Your ability to be stoic is not your power in 2022, bro. It's just not. It's not. You gotta chill on that. You're disengaging from your actual power. For every time you think, you just have to run your mouth. Be stoic, be polarized. They have to know where I stand. You're disengaging from your actual power. Okay? Being cancelled? Is it fair? No, you're right. You're right.
Well, you're right.
You're right. You're right. He has it. He's their father. I am the single one. I lay you down. This is not fair. See how I just said that's not fair? I know. It's not fair, but it's not relevant. Is it per child? Agava. Eshano Ejo. Please. Please. Per child. Bitibawo. They have 4 children who likely need 24 hours protection on top of. Ladies, easy. Take them easy now. He lost all that money. Come on. Like, this was like only a few weeks ago. All right, let's let me just say this. Sunshine says he'll pay cause he loves her. He gave her the house he bought next to her when they separated. Oh, he did. Kanye West is the ultimate simp. A lot of people don't realize that, but let's just leave that alone for now. Thank you. Please share the video. Thank you. Leave a comment after the live is over. I appreciate you, Daryl. Thank you so much for that. Let's talk about this topic right here. So, just before I came here, I was on one of my sisters in the Manospheres platform, and they were talking about shit testing women. How did we get here, gentlemen? Why are we trying to take the position of women so badly? What is going on? Now men are shit testing women. Hold on, I'll show you what I mean. I won't show you, okay? Because out of respect for her, because I've never really engaged her personally before, and I'm being respectful. But I'm just going to tell you what transpired, okay? Now, gentlemen, you absolutely must learn how to listen to women, okay? Learn how to listen to women for your own good, okay? So you can know what you're dealing with, okay? In terms of listening to women so you can follow exactly what she say, you got to be careful with that. Or because you're listening to her because she's pandering to your talking points, you got to be careful with that. You got to be careful. A woman is a woman for a reason. You are a man for a reason. Okay? Now, you can listen to a woman and learn how she thinks, but that's a function of time. You have to process that because you're a man. What she's saying is not necessarily supposed to make instant sense to you unless you've been around this stuff like me for a long time. What is it saying? It's saying Facebook, having trouble. Is you on Facebook? All right, Facebook, go somewhere. I don't have time for this. We don't got time for this. There you go. So you got to be careful when you sit on a round table around women. Women are teaching you how to interact with women. You got to be careful with that. Outside of listening actively to your romantic partner so you can learn how to deal with that, you got to be careful with that. We can learn from anybody, obviously, right? Definitely we can learn from anybody, right? So what were they talking about? They were talking about questions to ask on a first date. And they were, and let me share with you some of the stuff, right? Somebody said test her with her triggers. I'm like, God, test her with triggers. Trigger her. Come on now. Gentlemen, we don't do that. For multiple reasons, arrays of reasons. You're not supposed to have time for that. Come on. You're not supposed to have time for that. Sunshine, you got it completely correct. That's absolutely correct. Shit testing, you're operating from a place of fear. Nothing good comes out of that. Okay. Now, the reason why women will get away with that is because women are protected when it comes to emotional matters in society. They get away with this stuff. They get away with this. You say the wrong thing to her, she's gonna drag your ass. You're getting your feminine energy. This is what's gonna happen.
Yo, with me, nigga.
Help me,
What's
yo.
wrong with you, nigga?
Come on, where my glasses?
Get off of me before I drop your goofy ass again. Now beat that, bitch ass nigga. Pay for this shit. Hurry up.
No,
Pay
come
for
on.
that shit and hurry up before I drop your
Yo.
ass again. Touch me, then I'm
Yo,
gonna drop
stop
you.
video before they
Quit
help
touching
me. You got my key.
Quit touching me,
help
bitch.
you.
No, come on.
And if God helps you and police shows up, you as a man may end up being the one to go to jail. Right? Just the reality. Is it fair? You're right, whatever you think the answer is. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not relevant. Right? It's not relevant. But you're shit testing a woman. Why? Because you want to date to marriage, so you should ask her all these questions. Somebody said, test her with the trigger. Somebody said, mention KS, mention Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate and see how she reacts to it. Like, what? Why do you want to do that? Why do you have so much time to be doing that with a woman? Why do you have time for bullshit? Gentlemen, why? Oh yeah, because I'm looking to date to marry, so I gotta make sure that everything is correct. Dude, this is gonna turn out badly for you. She puts her guards up. You're not gonna learn anything about her. Okay, yeah, so she overreacts to Kevin Samuels when you brought it up. So now you know she's a feminist and she'd be a terrible wife. That's so inaccurate in so many ways. This is why I keep saying it. Men don't know how to they don't know how to recognize a feminine woman because they're looking for toxic women. So guess what they do? They attract exactly what they fear the most. You will continue to attract what you fear the most. That's just the reality. Why? Because you're a spiritual being. You're not just some physical body walking around. You carry energy, right? And the energy you bring to the table, the feminine energy will multiply for you. That's just the reality. So you want to shit test her and say, well, what you think about Kevin Samuels? So she can overreact so that we can finally find out that you wasted your time. Why are you going on a date with somebody you're already on a fence like that about with? Why are you wasting a second on the phone with a person you feel the need to shit test? How come you're not able to detect certain things ahead of time? Oh no, but you're being unrealistic, man. You've been out of the game for like 15 years, so you don't know what we're talking about. Exactly. But you're telling on yourself. You just told me you're going to shit test a woman when you go out on a date. Right? Ask her questions about love and hip-hop and see if she supports Erica Mena. What? First of all, how did you know whom Erica Mena is? Who is that? Why is that a real life thing for you? Erica Mena, I know she's a character on the reality TV shows, but how did that end up in your real life, bro? So you're gonna mention the name of Erica Mena, you don't think that's going to, you don't know, you'd never heard before that what you focus on expands? You'd never heard that before? All right, so gentlemen, here's what I'm saying. Yeah. If you have to shit test a woman, you don't need to be dating. You got work to do. Okay? You don't need to be dating. I'm bossy, going near marriage. Please don't do that to yourself. Alright? You will chop breakfast really badly. Because again, remember what I just told you. What you fear the most, you will attract. It might be in weird, twisted ways to you, but to me, it makes sense that you attract what you fear the most. You'll be looking for what you're looking for, you will find because you're a spiritual being. Because everything you see, even if it's good, the only thing you're going to see is your fear. Literally. That's what's going to happen. Women should test you not because they're being deliberate about it. It's not an intentional thing. It's the feminine energy testing your core to see if you will fall apart. It's chaotic. It is what it is. You're supposed to bring that structure, safety, order, security into it. And it's going to be tested. That's just the reality. But no, let me get in my feminine too and shit test her intentionally. Don't do that. If you're going out on a date, you're going there to have a good time, to get to know a person. Your fear, you have to keep that outside of the door. I know it's easier said than done because you know what you know. You can't unlearn what you already know. You know everything about all these terrible women out here. So naturally, what are you looking for? Terrible women. Even if she's a good woman, you can't recognize it. Even if she's feminine, you can't recognize it because what are you going to do? Let me test her to make sure it's not going to come out. Let's see if she hates men. Really? I'm taking a deep breath. All right, so when you say you're struggling, when you tell me you're struggling in this space, right, in the dating scene right now, and you say, oh, you've been out of the game. You're right, I've been out of the game, but you just told me 2 or 3 things. Like, oh, it's no wonder why you're struggling. Women multiply the status of the men in the society. It's the reality. Okay, now you have a choice. You can become a passport bro and travel out to somewhere else. But guess what? That's your shadow. It follows you everywhere you go. Somehow, some way, your reality, you can avoid it all you want. You can't avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. Okay. All right. So let's move on. I got two more stories I want to cover if that's okay with you. Let's get there because once I don't cover them today, they basically go away, you know. So let's get to that. All right, let's talk about struggle love because earlier today I didn't call into the show because I was just using the show to catch clues as I was doing some work in the background, but I listened all the way through. So, not all the way through, at least half of it, right? And what I was hearing is basically a bunch of women say they don't want to do struggle love. But what I was hearing in terms of what they meant by struggle love made complete sense to me. Okay. By the way, even the word itself, it's just a terrible idea to encourage anyone to go to start. We're seeing a lot of people trying to encourage that, like, oh, you're just not patient. Like, for example, the first story we covered, the Frederick said, women be patient, right? Yeah, be patient, but for how long? I'm not going to encourage a young 22-year-old girl to stay in a 10-year-old just so that she can find out after the fact that it's been toxic, right? Or it's just not conducive or there's no future in it. I'm not going to encourage that. There's no room for that. I don't think that's a good idea, personally, you know. So I'm with the ladies on that side for the most part, but there's some nuances that I wanted to spell out, you know. I want you to be aware that the unrealistic expectations out in these dating scenes are real, and you probably have many of them. And you have to manage them. Okay? Managing them doesn't mean you settle. Okay? And I'll tell you where you should draw the line in a second. Okay? I'll tell you where you should draw the line in a second. Unrealistic expectations everywhere. Okay? It's an epidemic. It is what it is. So the only thing you can do with it is manage it and talk to some people. Keep coming back to men of prestige because I'll be spelling them out as I see them, right? So, for example, this conversation started with a young lady saying, hey, if you don't have a car and your house under your name, I can't be talking to you. Whoa, slow down. Just because you don't have a car or a house on your name doesn't mean it's going to be struggle love, right? That's not what it means. It doesn't mean it's going to be struggle love, right? What I'll tell you is this is what struggle love is. There was once upon a time, I'll see if I can dig up that video later on. I did a session on the 7 dimensions of unequally yoked that you don't want to cross. Okay? One of them was religion. You can cross them, just be aware that it's going to create friction. We talked about culture, right? You can cross them, just be aware that you can potentially create friction. Does that make sense? And so one of them is status in society, right? You can go as a regular person from Iyanokwaja and go and marry Otedola's son. Just understand that there's going to be some friction. Just be aware that you will have to walk through. It's not because people are being deliberately want to be evil to you, but people's reality is different. It's worlds apart. Right? So if you come all the way from South Carolina, a tech babe, you make multiple 6-figure a year, and then you go back to the village in let's say Akure local government area to go pick up a guy who has been a organizer for the past 5 years. He's trying to be fancy with it. He's doing it Igbalode type. If you do that, there's going to be some kind of friction. It's completely two different worlds apart. So it's not necessarily about the money. We tend to focus on the money part, right? It's about everything else that happens. Is it as a result of or before or after? I don't know which one comes first. It's about whatever happens mentally, emotionally, especially, right? Because of the status. It's a reality. If you cross the race line to go marry somebody, it's not going to be neither of you guys' fault. It's worlds apart. The reality of these the two different worlds, right? So there's going to be friction, and you should be aware of that. When you're aware of that, suddenly your chances of success in it increases just because of the awareness. Okay, but if you're naive and you say it's not a big deal, people after all do it. Oh, mommy, man, you don't know life, obviously. All of us, every single one of us, will carry so much energy, belief systems, right? Things that are they seem suppressed, but not really. They're subconscious, right? And when you're put in a position that you're not familiar with, that's what boils up and brings your insecurity to the surface. And you're not gonna know, you're not even gonna admit this insecurity. How many men have you seen admit to having insecurity? They never admit to that. Right? Because insecurity, what is that? That's a curse? I'm not insecure. Why are you telling me I'm insecure? Why is that gotta be insecurity? Well, we're all insecure in one thing or the other. So I don't know what the yelling is about. We're all insecure in one thing or the other. That's the reality. All right. So it's a matter of have you been put in a position that will bring that to the surface? And it's a matter of time. Something's gonna happen in real life. It's just going to happen anyway. You know, it's gonna happen anyway. So yeah. So when you say struggle love, it's not just money that can bring struggle love. Like you've been put in a position of it's unfamiliar territories and you don't feel safe and secure. That's struggle love, right? Sometimes it's needed. It's probably where you need to be to provoke some growth, because growth is a human need, right? And you need to grow sometimes. Sometimes it's just toxic. You don't need to be experiencing, like there's no need for you to put yourself through that, right? So for example, some girl who has options and now goes back to the village and marry some young man, like why don't you leave that young man to go and marry somebody that will find it easier to respect him? Because that respect thing is non-negotiable. Don't put yourself in a position where respect will be harder for you, because in our social construct, a typical man will need respect. That's his love language, right? He wouldn't even know. He can't put it into words. He's just like, no, I could do it. I could be a stay-at-home dad, but wait, just wait. I know a few of them that run their mouth. I don't mind being a stay-home dad. Like, yeah, right. Especially if you have to run your mouth like that, you're the first that will overreact to it. So let's be guided. Everything comes down to emotions. When we're talking about relationships, money can tamper with emotions, but you need to refer back to the emotions that's been tampered with. That's why when people say he's a gold digger, I was like, what? Gold digger what? What else is happening? I get it. Money can be the trigger. But what is that tampering with? Why is she a gold digger? Why she gotta make some kind of money? But like, what? Security can be tampered with. A sense of security where money is problematic, right? And that's the part you need to pay attention to. Okay? So it's the mismatch. And mismatch in all the 7 different dimensions. I don't remember them right now. I think it's religion, culture, race, status, society, class, whatever class. Those things are real. If you're not aware and you're naive about that, that's going to tamper with your relationship, and you're going to point finger at the other person. Oh, she's a gold digger. Oh yeah, he's just lazy. No, like it came from 2 different worlds. All you needed to be is be aware, and then you increase your chances of success, because sometimes you fall in love with who you fall in love with. But you're responsible for your awareness to understand all these different things. both of you are responsible for it, right? Quinn said, this is what too much social media do to men. Yeah, everyone. I dozed off. Sorry, sir. Hey, I just received stray bullets. I made you doze off. I made you sleep. I'm that boring. I'm just kidding. Let's see. So it's basically a mismatch in value system. Yes, you could call it that. You could call it that. That would create struggle love all the time. I would never encourage anyone to run into struggle love just because they think they want to satisfy, Kevin Samuels said you should be able to settle for $40,000. That's bullshit. You don't have to settle for $40,000 if you're completely out of that class. Learn how to socialize within your class. Okay, learn something that the other people don't know how to do. For example, step up to fine women and approach them and shoot your shot. That's what most men in this time and age are having a hard time doing. Learn how to do it. And suddenly you will stop complaining because that's not your reality. Is it that easy? No. Everything I say is easier said than done. Especially if your reality was just terrible experiences. Of course, But yes, it's a mismatch of value system. It's multiple variables there. Just be aware that, hey, if I'm about to go marry a billionaire's son or daughter, and I'm but I'm middle class, it's going to be friction as a default. It's not somebody's fault. It's just the reality that you have two different realities. That's all you need to be aware of. And so when you get hit with a little crisis, you can respond accordingly because you're aware. You understand that, hey, your response is not defensive, right? It's still going to be a struggle. I'll tell you that much. That's just the reality, But yeah, I think I got one more story to go through, and then this is very important because I think there's some lesson in it. And no disrespect to the person that sent me this message, but we got to learn this lesson. All right, so gentlemen, I'm going to be finding lessons like this, and let me make sure there's no names in it first before I put it on the screen. Let me just make sure there's no person's names in it. There's no the person's name. Okay, just want to make sure of that. All right, okay, because I want to protect his identity because I respect him for having courage to send this to me. But the truth is that there are some lessons in this, and and we're gonna, I know Auntie B will see this later too, and that's fine. She understands what we're going through here. We have a lot of work to do, gentlemen. We have a lot of work to do, and there's little nuances and little small things that I'm going to be pointing out. This is our last story for today. This person sent me a message. Let me blow this up so you can see it clearly. Okay, he means well, I guess. Not really. Nah. I think it's manipulation. And I think people can be attempting manipulation without knowing that they have these tendencies. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? They can be manipulative without being completely aware, but it's still coming from a selfish place. Even though it's camouflaged as, oh, I just want to help you, right? But I can still appreciate the help and appreciate, the advice. It was shaped up to look like an advice, and I get a few of them, so it's okay, So this one is just a random that I picked, and but this happened to relate with the last few days too. So he goes on to say, let me blow this. I want to make sure I blow this up so you can see it clearly. All right. It says, "Hi Ola, hope this finds you well." Yes, thank you so much. I am well. I've been following Bridget Obodoyibo on YouTube. Auntie B, shout out to Auntie B, on YouTube since you even knew her. Okay, so somehow he knows when I knew Auntie B. or when I started following her, or when we got, somebody knew that, but let's just leave that alone. Maybe he does, right? Maybe he knows me personally, because the person also, people that send this kind of message, they tend to also don't show their face and their name, and I wonder why. Some people say, well, the internet is public. Well, you were talking to me in my DM. The least you can do is show your face, because I will simply protect your face and your name, just like I'm doing right now. But there was a brand around it. There's a brand of a business. But, I yield. Let's keep going. Since you knew her, and I've recently watched you join her live sessions. Yes, Nancy Bree is gracious enough to allow me to come on to share some of what I know. And she appreciates what I share. And she's also a fan of this platform and a big supporter of Men of Prestige. So that makes sense, right? I've recently joined her live sessions. I first noticed your profile on Clubhouse, and I've watched you collaborate on Obodo's live sessions. Okay, good. So I used to spend a lot of time on Clubhouse, just engaging people as part of the preamble to Men of Prestige, gaining people's talking point and learning where their point of contentions are coming from. I spend less time there now. I go there to catch crews sometimes, just chat with some of my friends that are still there. So this person knows my online persona, not necessarily me, right? And if they're mentioning Clubhouse, that means they've known me only in the last 2 years. They don't really know me like that, right? All right, good. Since COVID at most. And I've watched you collaborate on, without going into whether she's personally anti-men in her general approach. You see, once you say that, gentlemen, once you already say that, you give yourself away. Just in that moment, right? Like, you try to shape it in a way that you don't mean it, but you see, the human mind does not understand the negating words. Is that the word for it? The words that negates the idea of a sentence. The human mind does not know that. So your own human mind doesn't also realize that you're about to give yourself away. But that sentence by itself tells me that you think she's anti-men. Yes, you were trying to ahead of time defend that. But gentlemen, it's okay to have your ideas, to have your belief system. But it's better to not offer or volunteer information that we don't know. If you didn't put this sentence in there, I don't know what I don't know. I wouldn't think you think Anti-B is anti-man. But now I know for a fact that you think Anti-B is anti-man. And if you think Anti-B is anti-man, it tells me a lot about your struggle with women. Okay? Not only has she made it clear multiple times that she's not anti-man, if you listen long enough, or if you're listening at all, because a lot of time you hear what you want to hear, which is feminine energy, by the way. You hear what you want to hear because you already brought that energy, right? And then you, just so you know, no disrespect. Well, thank you for telling me you're about to disrespect me. With all due respect, thanks for telling me that you don't really have any respect for me, right? So you're basically telling me to brace myself because you're about to be disrespectful, or likely disrespectful, or potentially you might be disrespectful. So it's a heads up, but also just so you know, it tells a lot about yourself. Okay. So without going into whether she's personally anti-men in her general approach, I'll concentrate on the fact that her platform provides opportunity for other people to call in and give their opinions on people's lives and issues. Now, in addition to that, she's multiple times called on men to come and share their story. I think there's one guy that shared her story. The truth is that I understand if men are not comfortable going on that stage to share their story. Okay? I understand it. Right? It makes sense, right? But let's not take away from the fact that she's invited men multiple times to come and share her story. She's a married woman. It's impossible for her to be anti-men. Almost impossible, let me say. Okay? A happily married woman, for that matter, it's almost impossible. I'm saying almost just to be nice. I don't want to be absolute. Okay? But anyway, by so doing, she gets roped into so many things. Late Samuel Okposo, we keep bringing this man's name. Rest in peace to Samuel Okposo. May God rest his soul. Late Samuel Oposo's untimely passing is the tip of the iceberg. All right. So that's a threat. Okay. So if you're a Nigerian, you know what that means. A tip of the iceberg. So what's going to happen with the iceberg? You want to tell us more? Right? What's going to happen? And who did what to who? Who did anybody do to anybody? I'm just asking because you're alluding to that. Tip of the iceberg of what? You're saying a lot without saying a lot. It's not a lot you're saying. This is your personal fears, right? That you're projecting. And is this you, Bishop? Maybe it's Bishop. But anyway, let's keep going. Ola, the men are not given an opportunity to tell their own part of the story when the women call Bridget. And she'll turn the story into YouTube sessions. Okay, so it's called content creator. Okay, I do the same thing here. I just took your DM without your name, without your face, and I did the same thing, right? We create content. Yes, we create content. That's what we do. And the content actually has better quality when there's real life examples. And we know spaces where people don't give real life examples. They talk in generals all the time, which is why they continue to fail with their dating life because they're talking in generals. After talking in generals, you can relate and it's completely two different stories because we never really heard any story. So as far as I'm concerned, one of the damages that's happening from the social media is the talking so much in generals. People are relating, but they're actually multiple different stories that people never got to the bottom. And people would take the generals and they go back and project bullshit on their relationship and destroy the relationships even further. And by the way, one of the reasons why her channel is blown up so fast or blew up so fast is because it's storytelling. You should learn a little something about storytelling to help your life. Okay? There are ways to do it without bashing anybody. And you have to allow people to tell their stories. And no, we don't have to hear the other side. It's not compulsory. It's not your therapy session. It's just a place for people to learn. We try our best to share our insights, but it's not your therapy session. It's not a coaching session. Everyone is responsible at the end of the day for what they get out of any of this stuff. All right, let's keep going. Her stories are mostly about Black women in Western relationships. And you and I know what happens in relationships sometimes. So he's saying sometimes right now to compensate for the fact that he's followed me a little bit and he knows that I hate generalization. But I can still see through the bullshit. Yes. Listen, I can hear through your spirit. Okay? You really didn't want to say sometimes. You actually want to generalize. I can see through that too. So again, there's nothing I say that you should ever take in a religious way. Because nothing I say is absolute. It's case by case by case by case. What you really want to say, dare I say, is that you know what happens in those relationships. You really want to generalize. Okay? But let's see. He's going to try a little bit harder. Sometimes the men are guilty. And sometimes the women, but we only hear one part. No. You're a man. And you really want to say, it's either you're a man or you're a woman who is actively pandering to men, which is worse for men. Because men, we're the leaders of the society, and we need to maintain a certain level of core, a thick core, and we can't afford to fall for empathy. Women will have empathy for you. They're supposed to. That's why they're women. But you can't fall apart and become a wussy because you found a woman pandering to your talking point, right? So what I'm saying is that if you're a woman, thank you, by the way, for your advocacy. I appreciate it. But men need to be men because someone has to protect the women and the children in the society we live in right now. Maybe 50 years from now, that won't be needed anymore. But right now, it's still needed. Okay? And when I say protection, it's not necessarily physically, also emotionally. Okay? We just can't afford going that direction. Okay? Anyway, let's keep going. So, please, let's be careful as we use YouTube channels to make money. Oh, thank you. We didn't know that you knew that we make money. We didn't know that we were hiding it all the while. We're trying to pretend Like, we don't make money from this, but thank you for pointing that out. I know how much is made on YouTube and Instagram. No, you don't. Okay? Because if you see how much work that goes into this, if you see how many impressions that has to happen for you to make 1 penny, you won't say that statement. You clearly don't know. You think this is about jesting, laughing, kiki kaka. This is real life. Gentlemen, we have to step it up. This is manipulation right here. And some of us can detect it. And I want you to know that I'm a man too. I had to learn how to detect it. A woman can detect it like that because she's on the receiving end of it. She won't be able to say what it is, but she knows it doesn't feel right. And that's why you keep getting dumped. That's why you keep getting dragged through the court systems and all that kind of. Is it unfair? You're right, it's unfair. But that's just the reality. Okay? But some of us have figured something out where we can still be the king of our kazu, but we don't have to manipulate people into our. We don't need that validation. Okay? Bridget tries to be objective and in the middle, but she is still pro-women. What does that mean? Okay? She tried to be objective, but she's still pro-women. And even if that's a real thing, okay, let me pretend I know what you mean. I guess she supports women. Okay? What is wrong with that? She supports women. So if she supports women, does pro-women mean anti-men? That's what you're trying to say. Remember, you alluded to it in the beginning, right? Yeah, so it's okay. It's okay. I just want you to get some lessons out of this, okay? Mostly women call into our program to air their own views on topics centered on other people's lives. Many women are happy that Sam Okposo passed on. All right, so most of the people celebrating Sammy Okposo on Instagram right now are women. At least in my own little echo chamber, in my algorithms. What kind of women have you been following? See, this at the end of the day, when you point finger, 4 of them is always pointing back at you. This is the reality of life. What kind of women have you been following? Right? All right, so similar to how many jubilated when Kevin Samuels passed on. Thank you for telling on yourself. You have no idea how easy this is. This is too easy. Rest in peace to Kevin Samuels too. Kevin Samuels, he was trying to work on application before he passed on. Clearly, the only thing you all got out of it is to bash women. That's the only thing you got, and that's just sad. This is sad. How did Samuel Okposo relate more Kevin Samuels? George? And then guess what? This is their talking point. They use this all the time. That's the simple fact. They monopolize fact, truth, right? Don't do that to yourself again. Don't do that again, right? You didn't offend me, but there's some lessons in this. I just want you to know that you told on yourself in so many ways, right? And when you're talking, just like Bishop, remember I was saying on the show yesterday, your sentence structures, I can tell this is not Bishop because this is not his sentence structure. It's just another man who has the same troubles, right? And instead of them learning how to use emotional intelligence to create the result they're looking for, they're stubborn. They're stubborn about their ideologies and resenting the idea that it's just a new time and age. You need a little bit extra emotional intelligence to operate now more than ever before. Sorry, that's just where we are. It's not easy. It's not as simple as go and buy it's not as simple as buy a car for her. It's not as simple as, just take care of the bills. It's not that simple. As a matter of fact, that is simple. And that's the problem. You're a simp, effectively. Everything has to be linear for you. You can't comprehend the idea of emotional intelligence. And I keep saying that for a reason, because I really want you to get into it and study it. It means master your own emotions first. Why do I feel the way I feel? Why do I think this woman is anti-men? Even if she's really anti-men, why inside of me why are my radars picking that up? There's something about me that's picking that up, even if it's a reality, right? Because let me share something with you. There's some things that are happening in reality If it's not your reality, you can't pick it up. You can't really connect. You can't really, when you connect, right? You tell on yourself so easily. You're gullible. So simple. It's hard, I know. It's hard. It's easier said than done. And if you don't hit rock bottom, you may never learn what I'm talking about. But I just want you to know that there's something to learn. If I were you, I'd be more careful about my involvement in on her shows. Thank you. And that's me replying him. Say thanks for the advice. Because I mean, after I read it, I was like, why didn't I reply what I'm saying to him directly? I know that's a question that will come up. He's not going to hear me. He's made up his mind. If he's going to hear me, he will hear me now. But not just that, there's a purpose behind what we do. I want all 15, the rest of you, to hear this and pick up what I am talking about. Gentlemen, we have work to do. Okay? We have work to do. If you want to keep relating with women, you're going to have to not follow, because that's not what I'm asking you to do, not follow them, but you need to understand what the hell you're dealing with. Manipulations, emotional manipulations is not going to fly. Every time you try it, you'll fall flat back on your face. And you know why? If they could pick it up the way I just objectively try to pick it up, they will help you. Because women will help you. They have empathy for days for you, right? They do. They have empathy, right? That's why we see many of them coming into the ministry and trying to help and pandering and all that. Women naturally have empathy, right? But they can't help you see the dangers on the other end of feeling like you can just be soft like that, okay? You have to remain a man, okay? And here's how I know. Have one of those people that are pandering to your talking point, ask them out on a date. Let's see how that works out. Just say, hey, I want to take you out on a date. I'm flying in to Seattle tomorrow. I'm saying that randomly, just so I don't pick on anyone. Say, I want to take you out on a date. I like you. You're the feminine, fit, and friendly woman I've been looking for. You know, let's see how that works out. Just get to know her. You don't have to be in a relationship with her. Just see if she says yes to the date. Let's see how that works out. Right? You have to remain men. You have to remain men. That means you're able to allow women to have their talking points, like without overreacting to it. That means it's okay to engage the ladies and let them have a talk. When you push back a little bit, right? You say, hey, no, this is how men think. And you still allow them to have their talking points. Because remember, I just said allow. That means I allowed it. I'm still the king. So if you see women treating me with respect, I keep the credit to that. Because basically it's earned. You don't get to command respect or demand respect. It's just not the reality. Okay? If it worked for you, it's temporary. That's all I'm trying to say. If it worked for you, it's temporary. But yeah, that's that story. Happily married with 2 sons. Who is that? Who are we talking about? Did I miss something? The talking style sounds like Desmond. It's close, but Desmond doesn't structure, Desmond would have been a lot more. Yeah, he would have been much more. He would mention the fact that he's a bishop. He will put his phone number. But maybe not, we don't know. Maybe not, But a bishop don't go hire professional writer. I don't know. But hey, listen. I just think there's if I had more time, there's a lot more inside of that text that I can pull out of it. But the only thing we can get out of it is that somebody was clearly uncomfortable, and they had to see if they can manipulate me to see from their standpoint. There's no standpoint. I go on there to offer my own perspectives, and Auntie B is my sister. She respects that. We banter back and forth. We push back sometimes, and she's a woman. I'm a man, and we need all of the perspectives. So when what you settled in for is to say that we should disengage and not even understand each other's perspectives, it tells me so much about yourself And definitely, gentlemen, there's a lot of us that think that way. We need to work on that. We need to work on that. The internet is not your barbershop. It will never be. It will never be your barbershop. So let's be guided, right? Thank you for everyone that's hanging out. We're gonna chop up those videos, okay? So make sure you watch them as we're getting them out there. Okay, I might be busy over the next few days, but there's more than enough content we'll be pushing out there. So please make sure you hit the like button, watch them in completion, share them, and let's keep continuing the conversation, right? So hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.
Thank you.